Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today we're going to talk about everything you're going to need to water bath can. Alright guys, so I put up a survey on the community page, which if you have not already responded, go on there and respond. But I put up a survey as to what do you guys like to do, what do you prefer to do to preserve your food? And because I've had a lot of people tell me that they're definitely afraid of water bath canning, and I get it. I mean, I'm afraid of killing my family with botulism just like the next person is, but it is, you can get through it. Canning is not that bad once you actually do it. And if you start with water bath canning, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot more peace of mind when you go into pressure canning, because water bath canning is a lot easier. So let's talk about everything that you're going to need to water bath can, so that you know all the different things that you're going to need, what everything does, just so you have everything on hand, so you're not in the middle of like a recipe and you're like, oh my god, I need this, I need to go run to the store, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, or everything's getting messy, or whatever. So just so that you have everything you might possibly need and you are feeling encouraged and ready to water bath can. So the first thing you're going to need before you even get yourself a canner is you're going to need a preserving book. Now I just ordered the new one, which I will put a picture right here. I'm actually pretty excited about that one. That one is the new one from Ball, and this one is the Ball Preserving Blue Book. Now this one has all the things that you'll need to know about water bath canning. So or canning in general and preserving in general, but we're just going to talk about water bath canning today. So what I tell everybody is that, get a book and read it. Read what things are going to go on inside your jar, read what things could go wrong, what things can go right, what to look out for, because the more you know and the more you're informed about it, the less scary it is. So this book will have every detail on when you should water bath can versus when you should pressure can. It also has this nice little chart of when things are in season for which region, so that you know kind of when's going to be the best time to can or preserve those vegetables or fruits for your region. And then it also is just going to be full of recipes where it's going to be either water bath canning, pressure canning, freezing, dehydrating, all those different things, fermenting, all those different things are in there. So it's a really, really good tool for you guys. And just looking through it, and even if you just skim like the first part where it talks about all the different things that can go on and all the different things that you want to look out for or maybe not do, like that will give you so much more confidence when it comes to being able to start your first water bath can. But I get it. The first time I canned anything, I was literally just watching everybody at the table like, don't die, please, just please don't die. So, but once everybody's like fine and it's 24 hours later, you're gonna be perfectly fine with it. So don't stress out. Okay, so we're gonna talk about water bath canning just because that's where I'm at in my canning process right now. Is I water bath can, and then afterwards I start pressure canning. So the second thing you're going to need is a water bath canner. Now a water bath canner is just a big giant pot with a lid, and also it has a rack in it. Now you want to make sure that you're not just water bath canning with a big giant pot. You want to make sure that you have some form of rack for your jars to sit on, because the problem is that if they're just sitting on the actual, just right in the pot, they could break. But if there's a little bit of a barrier in between them, then you're fine. If you have just a big giant pot, like a big stock pot or something like that, you can actually just get like an insert in order to put in there to stick the jars on top. So you don't actually need this, but this actually helps a lot when it comes to water bath canning, because you can lift it in and out, and Unlike pressure canning, where pressure canning you only have like a bottom layer of water, like probably about like that much water. Water bath canning, you have to go an inch above the jars. So it's not like something you can just like reach in with the towel and grab, or something that it's easy to drop the jars down in there. With the water bath canner, it sits up like that, and then you can just easily drop your jars in like this. And then once they're all full, then you can just lower it down in there. That's going to keep you from burning yourself, because you need this to be a rolling boil in order for any of it to work. So the next thing you're going to need are your jars. Now your jars, you're going to want glass jars, and then you're going to want a ring and also your lids. Your lids have the little kind of like little gasket thing around it, and this is what's actually sealing. You only need this ring when you are actually processing your jars. After you process your jars, you're going to take this and you're going to remove it off, and you're just going to store this jar after you wash it up. Store the jar right into your pantry without the ring on, because if you leave the ring on, it could give you a false seal, meaning that you think that the jar is closed, and instead it'll sound like that if you hit the top. So sometimes when you're just grabbing things and you're in the midst of cooking and you're doing a billion things at once, you won't even pay attention to the fact that that sound is happening if you still have this ring on. But if you have the ring off, the lid's not going to stay on, and then that way you'll know that that wasn't sealed and you won't accidentally use it. So having a good jar. Now also when you are buying just rings and lids, because this part you can reuse, this part you can reuse, this part you cannot reuse. So when you are buying extra lids for this purpose, you don't have to keep buying these extra rings. I saw a lot of packages in the store that had the rings and the lids as a pair, and that's how they were trying to sell them. But once you get the jars, the jars automatically come with these rings and lids, then you don't need to buy a package with more rings, because you can reuse these. So that's just a little tip on how you guys can save money with all of your canning supplies. Now the next thing is going to be a canning kit. I bought mine all together in just a big giant canning kit, and I think that was more cost effective. So this is something, just a jar grabber, so that you can grab your jar in and out of the canner. Get this. If you don't get anything, get this, because you will burn yourself if you do not have this. I don't care how careful you are, just get this. This little tool was invented to not give you third-degree burns. It was nice of them. It was nice of them to invent this. The other thing is going to be a jar funnel. So all this is, it's going to help you be able to put everything in the jar without making a big giant mess. And you can use this for a regular mouth jar or a wide mouth jar. Fits both, and you can just sit there and fill all of your things without having to, like I said, make a big giant mess. The other thing is going to be just some kind of ruler, and also just a little stick to be able to get all of the bubbles out. I think it's called a degasser. You can use this, or you can even just use something like this, which is a spatula, but it also has a little, I don't know if you can see that, like a little ruler on it, and this one also has little measurements on it. That way you can check headspace. So headspace is going to be where your food is to where the top of the rim is. And so if I wanted something that was like an inch headspace, I would stick that like that, and I would know that my food should go to the tip of this. So I like this one better, and I do like this one for just when I'm preparing stuff. But I never really check headspace with this one. Sometimes I'll degas with this one, depending on what it is, but normally I use this. Okay, so the next thing you're probably gonna see in your kit is going to be this little thing right here. And this is a magnet that helps you get your rings and lids out. Now, they say you don't have to boil your lids anymore, and I believe that. But I also I'm like a freak when it comes to things being clean. So I still just dip this in hot water, just right before I put it on. I also dip this in hot water too as well, just to make sure that there's no like bacteria or anything like that. So I still use this. You may or may not. Now, outside of the kit, you are going to need a ladle because this will help you to be able to ladle all of your food into your jars to where it's not making a big giant mess. Just get a ladle, it's worth it. And then you will also need measuring cups, measuring spoons. Typically you're going to need something that's like either like a cup or a half a cup or a tablespoon or a teaspoon or half a teaspoon or a tablespoon. So just at least have those. Now the next thing we're going to talk about are things you're going to see in recipes, and then also just some final things will be some tips on things that'll make your life a lot easier. So when you are making your recipes, you're probably going to see something where you have the option of having a citric acid or a lemon juice. I have both, but I prefer to use lemon juice just because I don't like putting powdery things into my stuff. But the citric acid does work. I do use it, but I do prefer to use lemon juice. Now, when they say use lemon juice, that does not mean fresh squeezed lemon juice. They want you to use a bottled lemon juice, probably because it doesn't have it doesn't have any bacteria or anything in it because it's probably processed. It's like ran through like a pasteurizer or something like that, like heated up. So this is what you want to use. Also, in the ball book, you'll see a lot of ball products, which is going to be either the citric acid. This basically just helps, like I said, with the lemon juice, helps preserve your food. And then also there's a fruit protector. This is going to make it to where your food doesn't go dark, like your fruit. So if you're doing like apples or if you're doing like any type of fruit, you can sprinkle this on there and it'll prevent it from oxidizing. Now, if you don't have it, it won't do anything bad to your fruit. Like, you'll still be able to eat it, but it'll just look darker in your jar. But if you don't care about that, then you don't need that. So the next thing your ingredients are going to call for, or your recipes are going to call for, is going to be salt in a lot of the cases. And you're going to want to make sure you have a canning salt, a kosher salt, a sea salt, anything other than an iodine salt. Iodine salt, it basically will take everything out of the salt that will keep things preserved. So you want to make sure that you do not have an iodine salt. Also, filtered water. Have some form of filtered water. Before I got my Berkey, I used bottled water when I did any of my canning or anything that I was putting into the jar, inside the jar. I used regular tap water inside the canner, but inside the jar, if the recipe needed water, or if I was using that for like my fruit or anything like that to boil it, then I would always use filtered water to do that, just because our tap water has so much stuff in it, including chlorine, and that's just the nicest part that's in the tap water. So you don't want that actually going into your jar and into your food. So even when I am just taking the skins off of tomatoes or peaches or anything like that, the water that I am water bathing, I think is what it's called. Basically, when you just put it in hot water and then put it in cold water, those two water bowls are going to be either a water out of my Berkey or water out of a bottle. That's just what I prefer. Some people can say you can use tap water, but tap water has a lot of stuff in it. Now for the things that will make your life just a little bit easier. Vinegar. So you're going to want to have a vinegar. Now, you're going to want a vinegar so that you can clean the tops of the lids after you fill your jar. Basically, you're just going to take a little bit of vinegar, put it on a towel, and then wipe the rim of your jar. Now, you can use water, but vinegar cuts any type of fat or anything that's on there, so that vinegar will cut that and take it off. The other thing I use vinegar for is that when I put the water into my water bath canner, I put like maybe a couple of tablespoons of vinegar into the water bath canner. This will make it to where the calcium does not build up when it's boiling. If you don't do that, you'll get calcium all over your stainless steel water bath canner and it will make you sad. And then you'll also get calcium buildup on your jars that is really, really hard to get off. So somebody told me that one day. It cleaned my water bath canner after one use, and it also made it to where I didn't get that calcium buildup on my jars. So I do it from now on. The last tip I'll give you guys is a drying mat. Now, you don't necessarily need a drying mat, but this was $1 at the dollar store, at the Dollar Tree, and it'll make your life just really nice. What I do is that I put this down, and when I take the jars out of the water bath canner, I just stick it on top of this. Now you can use just a regular towel, but this little guy, it absorbs all of the water. So then your countertop isn't sitting with water on it with a wet towel. This will absorb it and it'll be dry underneath here, so that then, like I said, it's not getting any bacteria or anything like that forming. That's just me. I find that a lot easier. It was worth the buck. But that's it. That's all the things you're gonna need to water bath can. If there's anything that I missed, you guys, for you guys that are experienced with water bath canning, put it down in the comments down below. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, put them down below. We are going to start water bath canning next week. I'm going to actually be doing it all this week, but you guys will start seeing that next week, every Monday for the next at least 3 weeks, because I just water bath canned 3 different things. So until next time, make sure you guys are growing yourselves a garden, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye guys.